Tell me when, Ben.
This conference is being recorded. Q&A session started.
Recording started.
It said it, Ben. We are live with Nick Richards. Chelsea, Nick Richards, you guys have surely met up, right?
We have indeed.
Absolutely. Probably previous to the life of Nick's time at Buick.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a short little stint over with the Volt for probably what were a very exciting 6 months.
That was just a blip, wasn't it?
It went fast. It went extremely fast.
So, Nick, your title now at Buick is what?
Well, right now I'm the Buick Communications Manager. So I've got responsibility for Buick public relations in the U.S., and then I interact with my counterparts in Canada and the Middle East and China.
That's awesome. So to give you guys some history, Chelsea met him when he was on Volt, but I met him way back when he was with Hummer. And then when Hummer died, you were put on your penance at Volt.
Quite the transition.
Yeah, I was. There were a couple websites that weren't too fond of me prior to moving over to Volt, and as soon as I was over on Volt, it was a brand new day.
Well, it's kind of funny, right? Because that must have been really interesting for you, just personally, having to communicate with people in a completely different way.
No, I think. It was. I don't know that it was communicating in a different way. It was talking about a different product. But each product really has its own place in the industry. The Hummer did at the time. And I would still say that competent off-road vehicles still have a place in the industry, just as extended range electric vehicles. And I also had the insight of my 4 years at Hummer to know what the hot buttons were from what was at that point in time the other side of the aisle for me.
Did you land in Volt right at the center of the "it's not really an EV, they lied" controversy?
No, I was there. I started in May, and I orchestrated the whole launch process and launch programs with a number of other people that were involved on the communication side. And then obviously all the fantastic engineers and designers that we had working on it. So I got in, before that, and then I got to be a part of that debate. And I think that debate, if you ask people, they still say it continues today. But I think we ended up, we had the ability to by that point in time show people that you can actually travel the entire battery range on EV alone, no matter what speed you're doing, before it kicks over to extended range. So, yes, it is an electric vehicle, and then at other times it uses the engine, to assist the battery.
I have to say, Nick, I think that your job as being in communications is probably above anybody else I've met in the industry. You probably are the most interesting person to me, because you've not only had to deal with communications about Hummer, which had this really bad reputation, not with consumers as well as enthusiasts. And, of course, there was a lot of miscommunication going on against people that didn't agree with the brand, but, it wasn't the H3 wasn't a bad truck, right? It was, there was far less sold than an Explorer, and it got just about the same miles per gallon. So, there's that fallacy that went on that you had to deal with. And then going to the Volt, there was the whole communications issue around, okay, Chevy's going to have an EV coming. It's different. It's actually better. I think consumer-wise it's better. But trying to explain that to consumers, it's a lot of consumer education. And now you're at the luxury brand, which we were talking, I'm sure you were listening to me discuss that issue of it being a luxury brand or not. Plus, on top of that, the whole idea of the e-assist and whether it's a mild hybrid and how Buick presents itself to the public, how they explain that to people. I mean, your communications, you're like in the Olympics of communications.
And all that with a biology degree.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense there. I don't know. That's pretty amazing. So, Chelsea, what do you think about what do you think about this whole idea of the mild hybrid versus not hybrid versus? I mean, it's very confusing, the information I'm getting.
It is, but I'm really happy to see that the BAS or the e-assist or whatever are not being marketed as hybrids, because they fell completely flat when it tried to happen that way. And so I think we're going to see an adoption of efficient technology, fuel-saving technology that is not enough to be considered a hybrid by the hybrid crowd and yet is still useful. But I like that we're not trying to make it something that the community has said very clearly they're not going to see it as.
Yeah, this entire debate around hybrids, not hybrids, mild hybrids, strong hybrids. I was going back even further. I was at Powertrain before Hummer. So I was over there during the whole parallel hybrid truck, the BAS, the two mode, and the thing I find amazing is at the point in time when those vehicles came out, and they were billed as hybrids, everybody was saying, no, it's not a hybrid. It's not powered by the electric motor is not powering the vehicle. We come out with the LaCrosse, we call it e-assist, because we want to focus on the vehicle itself and the fact that this technology we put into the car just makes the car better. You get 25% better fuel economy, you get actually better drive experience, and there's really no trade-off for the consumer. And the very first question is, well, why aren't you calling it a hybrid? And everybody is now saying, well, you should call it a hybrid. It's a hybrid. It's a mild hybrid. And I think it completely misses the point that this is a technology that we can put into cars that no matter what you call it, improves the driving experience, improves the fuel consumption, and is all at a benefit to the consumer.
Who are the people that ask that question the most?
People on media programs.
Right. So, do you think that there's a point where the enthusiasts are actually detracting from your consumer sort of oriented communications? Because you have to spend, I don't know, I'm finding that the enthusiast crowd, they're really fun people, but, then I end up having to explain stuff to the consumers because they're not getting the right information from the enthusiasts.
Well, I think it's just like there is in every other walk of life. There is an audience for everything. There is there are car enthusiasts, and they want to know every detail about every single part on every single vehicle and how the entire thing operates. And then there's other people that say, I want to know that car will get me from point A to point B, be reliable, comes in the color I want, and has the interior features I want. And
so, who buys more cars?
Well, it doesn't matter. As a communicator, we have to be able to, and even as journalists, be able to talk to the audience that we're talking to at the time. And so that's why things like e-assist we can go in, and you'll see it when we start advertising later this fall. We'll have a broader message around the technology that gets into a little bit of how we make the car better and how we get the fuel economy benefits, but it's not going to get into the down and dirty detail of this, all the components of the start-stop system, how much we go into fuel cutoff, the size of the battery pack, all those things that an enthusiast might be interested in. But you'll be able to go to various sites like Buick.com where that information will be located for the people that really are interested in the finer details. And that's that's the other thing that all this electronic communication medium allows us to do today is to use different levels of messaging at different audiences.
Yeah, I think I've noticed as well on the other technologies, mainstream consumers want to know what a car does. The enthusiasts want to know how it does it. And you have to be able to translate between the two markets.
Yep. Completely agree.
Well, I mean, I know that, Nick, you and I have had a few messages in the last couple of weeks about some specific Buick things. And we have a couple questions coming in. I'm going to ask this really fast. But I know one of the things was that the Buick product team were actually not happy with AutoBytel's presentation of the LaCrosse and eAssist, because we have it listed as, you go to the basic car and it is listed as a 4-cylinder or a V6, and they want the V6, they want the 4-cylinder listed as the base and the V6 listed as an option, which is kind of making up your own thing, right? Because most cars, if they come 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, they're listed as those, and then options are things like, heated back seats.
Well, the reality is the way that we, and this is why, again, why what we're doing with LaCrosse is a little bit different than, what you've seen, across the industry, which also provides, challenges to content, people that do content aggregation and, have a, clear-cut formula on, on what defines what. The V6 actually is an option. So if I go into the dealership and I say, I want a LaCrosse, I want leather, I want nav, this is the trim level I want, the dealer is going to say to me, okay, do you want the eAssist or do you want the V6?
Well, I guess I understand that, and it's not really about the content providers. The problem is that all these content providers aren't going to show the cars in the same way for you. I mean, that means your car doesn't show up where you want it to.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's why I think probably there is a education process that we have to conduct as well with the various sites that are providing the information as to the best way to present it to the consumer, because again, it's a little different than when I walk into a showroom and say I want this trim level, and that trim level only comes with a V6. For up to a certain point in trim packages with the LaCrosse, you'll have the option at no cost for either the eAssist, which means I'm a person who's a little bit more focused on the overall efficiency or the technology, or I want the V6 because I'm a little bit more interested in the straight line performance.
Right, and that's understandable. And I mean, it's not like none of these consumer-facing sites are immune to ever getting sort of special requests. We have MINI all capitalized. We have FIAT all capitalized because those were special requests. You're actually asking for the consumer to search for stuff differently, which would mean that we, as third-party providers, have to change our entire database, which just to give you an example, if you look at Honda, there's a Honda Civic and then there's a Honda Civic Hybrid. It's not a trim level, right? It's a completely different car, and that gets it the attention it needs. And Buick's refusal to say we're a hybrid or we want mild hybrid to be counted as hybrid, because for some reason hybrid is now strong hybrid. And I think probably people at Buick are the only people in the United States saying strong hybrid.
No, actually, we're not saying any type of hybrid.
Well, no, I mean it's not showing up where it should be, right? Like it's just kind of like this very small little trim level thing, but it is.
Well, it's because it's not a trim level. It's on every vehicle, and then the V6.
But a trim level is an option. I mean, it's funny. I want everybody to hear this discussion because I want people to understand that when it comes to manufacturing and the way that your advertisers present the cars, there has to be this discussion, right? It's minutia detail to consumers, but these are our enthusiasts, so they love this shit. Oops, I said the bad word. Ben just glared at me.
We're all enough, grown-ups.
But you know what I mean. It's true. Like they love this stuff. So this is what happens. We all have this discussion of what happens when something becomes sort of out of the box. Like, I'll give you a great example from your previous brand, Volt. Volt doesn't show up anywhere except for, I don't even know where it shows up if people search for Volt in mainstream sites, because it's not considered a hybrid, and it's not, and most people don't categorize it as an EV. It just doesn't show up in the consumer searches.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and part of that, in fairness, is because GM balked so heavily at referring to it as a plug-in hybrid. So if for the folks that will not consider it an EV the way GM does, it's tough until we have a more robust plug-in hybrid category. No one knows where to stick it. But the whole EREV moniker really confused the heck out of people. I mean, it was a policy term that shouldn't have been used for marketing and was. And we're still sorting it among the market.
You know, I'm going to take, we have a question from someone. Hang on. Who's there?
Yeah, this is Rick from San Diego. I got a question for Nick, and you were talking about before the luxury thing with Buick. I'm not sure that's the best way to sell cars, at least in San Diego or in the Southern California area. I mean, Hondas and Mazdas and stuff sell very well without all the luxury features, especially leather interiors. I mean, you burn your butt out here on leather, so cloth is very much more popular in a lot of cases. Plus, it's cheaper. If you want to attract young people, that's the way to do it. I've sold Hondas. We used to, in the '93 when the '94 Accord came out, we still had we got 93 used ones, LXs, cloth seats. We were selling them for full sticker of the 94 models because that's what people wanted. That new Verano, to me, reminds me of the 93, was it 90 to 93 Honda Accord, which was probably the most popular Honda Accords ever. People love those things out here. You could sell 20,000 a month easy, Veranos, if you got the price down to around $20,000 with some cloth seats. Leather on the top end, no problem. EXL, that's no problem. But you got to get a entry level so these people can buy them. These people are going to want that car, and the hard fact is they're not going to be able to get loans for these cars. If I could have sold as many cars as people that wanted cars, I could have sold two or three cars a day. But the bank will tell you what you can sell and what you can't. And in hard times like this, price is very important. And something like a Buick Verano is going to attract a lot of people. And you got to have a price so you can sell these things so this thing can get a monster start on the market. I mean, people out here are hungry for something new. I think one or two of you live out in California. You know how we're on new stuff, and that Verano is going to knock it out of the park. I'm telling you, that thing is something else. And Buick's sitting on a gold mine. All it has to do is pull the trigger. Same thing with the Regal. I've talked to at least two guys that sell Regals. The Regal's at least $2,000 overpriced on the entry level. It'll sell leather. It'll sell all that stuff. But you got to get the butts in the seats, and you can sell a ton of cars. And talks about
first of all, I appreciate the insight and the comments about Toronto. I think we've done quite a bit of homework around that car. I think the question about luxury or not luxury, it basically comes down to what the consumers are telling us. And they're calling it luxury, and we're so we're fine with that. The vehicle's not supposed to sell mass volume in which you would think of for other brands, but the fact is it will be a very strong seller for Buick, and the portfolio for us is working, the messaging, the advertising is working, and the fact that for 22 straight months we've posted consecutive positive sales gains.
You can do a lot more, Nick. I'm telling you, you guys can
really. There's always a balance, and trade-off between volume and profit, and we're pretty happy with where the brand is right now.
But if you can sell a lot of cars and really establish the brand, I'm telling you, Buick, any brand, this market's really ripe for a new brand. I think right now I'm seeing a lot of Kias. Where I work now, I was selling cars before. I don't sell them now, but I work aerospace, and we got a lot of young people. You know what the parking lot's full of? Mazda 3s.
Sure. Yeah.
And,
you know,
3 Series. I swear,
you know,
sometimes we got more 3 Series than most BMW dealers. But, I mean, that's the kind of car. They want something fun to drive. It's not about the leather seats. It's not about luxury. It's about that driving dynamic, which being most Buicks are based on Opals. I mean, you get the driving dynamic. That's what they're after.
Yeah,
That's what we want.
I would
don't
also
care
say,
about
you
the
know,
other stuff.
from a volume standpoint and fun to drive, you know, we've also got, you know, within the GM portfolio, we've got Chevy and the Cruze.
Yeah,
and the
Chevy
Cruze
ain't going to do it. No, Chevy don't. No, that don't work. You're going to get Toyota buyers and Honda buyers are stopping at Buick before they're looking at Chevys. It's just the way it is. Sorry, there's nothing wrong with the Cruze. Is a great car. I'm not saying that. It is a great car, but it's not going to sell in California. You will sell Veranos before you sell Cruzes.
Well,
it's just the way it is. I'm telling you, it's just the
both.
way it is. You can sell a ton of these things if you want. Same thing with the Regal. That thing could be a monster. I see Regals sitting on the lot. They've been here for a while.
Yeah.
I talked to the guys that are selling them. They're not. They got too much on them. There's no go-to car for these guys to go to. When the bank says you can't sell them a car, you're stuck. You got nothing to do. You can't do anything with it.
And that's partially. I mean, that's an entirely different conversation on banks
well,
and
when
lending
you're the car,
and,
when you're
and
trying
the
to sell
situation
a
we got
vehicle.
ourselves into.
Well, I understand.
No,
if you're a Buick dealer, you're not trying to sell Chevys. You're trying to sell Buicks.
And I appreciate your point on Toronto.
Thank you, Rick. We're going to go to VRM Chris in Wisconsin now, I think. Let's see. Chris, are you there?
Yes, I am, Michelle. How are you?
Awesome, Chris.
Okay, yeah, there is one or two questions I have. One of the questions I have regarding the e-assist is, what is the take rate that you are expecting on it, as opposed to the V6 version, and also with it, and if so, what kind of results were achieved with that?
Sorry, Chris. I think you cut out a little bit on the second part of your question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I was referring to across e-assist. Was it ever tested with the V6, and if so, what kind of results were achieved with it?
Sure. Fantastic questions, and thanks for calling in. On the your first question about how much volume we're projecting. Right now we offer a 4-cylinder in the LaCrosse, and we offer the V6. Our take rate on the 4-cylinder right now is about 10%. Our projections right now, that with the e-assist and with it being the standard powertrain and gas prices what they're at, we're projecting about 25% take rate. Now that depending on what happens with fuel prices over the next 6 months to year, that percentage could increase. If we see a dramatic rise in fuel prices, but what we're seeing out of the large car and large luxury car buyer is that they are as much about the technology in the vehicle and the driving dynamics and the performance of the vehicle as they are the fuel economy. The fuel economy isn't necessarily the number one selling point for them, but if you show that you've got some technology, unique technology or things that they can talk to their neighbor about in the car, that is important to them as much as fuel economy. Whether or not you could use this system on a V6, this system is I would say fairly robust and can be used on a number of different powertrains. And that's what we love about the system, and the fact that we're going to use it on the LaCrosse, we're going to offer it on the Regal. We've announced that we'll offer it on the the Malibu Eco, and it's a scalable system that could work on other powertrains. Now, does it make sense in the LaCrosse with the V6? Probably not, because we probably wouldn't see as much enough fuel economy gain to to justify the price to the consumer.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering if it was tested. What kind of result. If it wasn't, I can understand that.
Sure.
What are you looking for in the near future for Buick? To expand it e-assist and also to have it where you truly are competing with Lexus and winning the game, or are you just trying to have your own vision of what Buick should be in terms of the luxury, the technology, the performance, and so on and so forth, without encroaching on Cadillac space, for example? Or does Cadillac have to be moved up so that Buick can fill that middle range?
Yeah, I think from a brand standpoint, what the Buick brand stands for, and the type of customers that we bring into the brand, it's for us. It's about designing, beautiful, elegant vehicles, vehicles that have and are known for their interior quietness, their road noise isolation, and for vehicles that deliver levels of luxury that customers want, and types of technologies that are relevant to our buyers. There's definitely enough room in the market for Buick and Cadillac, and we don't see really the consumers cross-shopping either brand. We tend to get cross-shopped more with Lexus, Acura, Infiniti, and the consumers that tend to look at Buick, are what I would, they are financially sound. They've been able to achieve success in their life and their career, but they don't feel the need to flaunt it. They're quiet. They're quietly confident, but they want nice things. They want to treat themselves and their family to nice things, which is what has led them to Buick. Relative to e-assist technology and where that goes from here, we've said that it'll go into the LaCrosse. It'll be standard in LaCrosse as a powertrain. It will be an option in the Regal, and that's kind of as far as we've announced at this point in time. But it's again, it's about bringing relevant technology to Buick consumers. Things like e-assist, things like IntelliLink, which is our infotainment system that will roll out on every Buick model later this fall, every Buick sedan later this fall, and then every model by 2013. So I think if where we stand in the market, our sales success over the last 2 years has shown that the vehicles and the design is resonating. We're bringing in consumers from other brands. 42% of our consumers are Conquest, which means they're trading in something that's not GM, or they're buying Buick and haven't owned a GM previously. So that's that's a pretty strong indicator for us that we're on the right track. And we're seeing sales growth out of our models that have been in the portfolio for several years. Like the Enclave last year, was its best all-time year, and we're going to do better this year. And that's a crossover, crossover vehicle that's been in the portfolio for a couple of years. So it's kind of bucking the trend of its life cycle volume flattening as you get later into its life. It just continues to move the metal and bring new customers into the showroom, and that's conquesting at about 50%.
Okay.
So I think we've got good momentum right now. We're going to see that continue with the vehicles that we've got coming this fall, with the e-assist, with the Verano, with the Regal GS, which is going to put a little bit more performance behind the Regal brand, and then we've got other things on the horizon. So it's a pretty exciting time to be at Buick.
Awesome. So we have, thank you, Chris. We have Sean on the line with a question. Oops, did I accidentally mute him just then? Oops, there he goes. Sean, are you still there?
I am, Michelle. Thank you, Nick, for taking my questions. I have a couple questions for you. The first was more of a blast from the past for your previous days, and second is actually dealing with Buick. First one, since you were with Hummer, what was the reasoning and the thought behind the Hummer H3 truck? I thought it was a very clever vehicle with the four-wheel drive. You have a manual transmission with the 5-cylinder. And second with Buick, you know, since Buick doesn't really have a full-size car now because Lucerne is dead, I guess. I'm a diehard rear-drive fan, and in China, the Holden Statesman is sold as a Buick Park Avenue. Now, I don't know. I don't know if you're restricted about product planning, talking about that, but I'm going to try to nudge you a little bit. Do you know anything, or what do you think is the likelihood that we can have the Holden VF, which is the upcoming one, which apparently the short wheelbase version will be sold here in this country? What's the likelihood of the long wheelbase Statesman coming as the Buick Park Avenue here to replace this Lucerne, or in fact become the new Buick Roadmaster, and the wagon variant to come over as the Buick Roadmaster wagon, which I thought was a very cool Buick vehicle. That's it.
That's quite a bit.
Oh, just that little bit there. Let's start some rumors here, Nick.
All right. Well, let's start with the hardest ones first. Buick sedan, Buick portfolio. Right now, I think you mentioned the Lucerne has gone away. So yeah, right now the LaCrosse is our largest sedan. We consider that, for the time being, and the consumers that we're drawing into the showroom, to be our flagship sedan. And it's it's doing the job. If you look across the industry, there's four model luxury sedans that have an average transaction price of $30,000 or higher and sell more than 50,000 units, and the LaCrosse is one of those. So we're pretty pleased with where that vehicle is drawing consumers in, the price they're willing to pay for it, and the number of consumers that are willing to pay that price for it. And it's and if you look across the segment, it's still a value at that point. I can't get into any future product plans or details. So as much as I'd love to tell you about what's coming, I'm going to focus tonight on what we got in the showroom, in the next 12 months. So that's pretty much all I can say on that. Hummer H3T, that was a fantastic concept, a vehicle that I think would have helped the Hummer brand had it come a couple years sooner. We did I think about 5,600 units, one model year. Basically it was launched as the brand was put under review and then put up for sale. So that obviously had an impact on the number of consumers that would even look at the brand. So it was a great play truck. It was a little bit larger than a compact. Full four-wheel drive, front and rear lockers. You could get 33s from the factory, 4-to-1 T-case. It was a good all-around play truck, but it was just, it came out at the wrong time for the brand.
Yes, my personal recommendation, since you can't talk about future products, I am a big fan of rear drive, especially for full-size cars. So, tell your superiors, tell them, yes, Buick needs a rear drive sedan. Yes, they do. Do not let GM say no to you.
I think they're taping this, and I'll get a copy of the final show and pass it on.
Buick needs a rear drive sedan, full size. Bring back the Park Avenue. Oh yeah, and by the way, GM. Excuse me, Michelle. By the way, GM, if you're listening, bring back the El Camino. I want it now. Bring back the El Camino. That's it. That's all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking my question.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. So if anybody else wants to call in, it's 712-432-43. Wait, 712-432-0900. The PIN number is... Did I do that right, Ben? Ben just looked at me really exasperated right then. It's 911633. And if you want to ask a question right now during our recorded time, it is *6. Nick, you can understand Ben's frustration now with me, right?
I can see the glares from here.
Imagine when I'm in LA. I'm actually sitting across the room from him for once, and he's like, "What are you doing?" Oh well. Well, I know I'm going on the Regal GS event, and I'm really excited to drive it. I think it's I want to see this. It's funny. I still haven't driven the LaCrosse. Still haven't driven, which is fine. Don't worry. I'm not asking for press cars.
It's not fine.
No, it is fine. I don't like asking for press cars. I'm not the one that normally writes about them so much like my reviewers do, right? Like I write about like impressions, and that's what I'm better at, and I know that. So, and I talk about them on the shows. So, but I'm really excited to be in Traverse City. Are you going to be there?
Yes, I'll be there. I'll be there the entire week. We're very very excited about this program, and think that a lot of people will be surprised by the vehicle. 270 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, a really, aggressive take on the Regal design. The hyperstrut technology to help kind of smooth out the front-wheel drive, the little tighter controls with the GS mode on the adjustable suspension. I think a lot of people are, and the price point that the car is going to come in at, I think a lot of people are going to take a second look at Buick again, because of what we're able to do with that car.
Well, I've heard that people I know up in the area of Traverse City have already said that they have seen a couple of Regal GSs driving around up there, because I guess you guys have had to have your work days of picking out the drive that we're going to be going on that best shows off this car.
That, and to go to the good restaurants. It makes a good excuse for us to get to good restaurants.
See, just for that, Nick, I am going to punish you, and I'm going to make you give me an elevator speech because this goes back to the beginning of the show. You weren't tuned in, and we were talking about the 54.5, because I think it's so funny. It's 54.5 and not 54. So what's Buick's answer to the 54.5 cafe standard?
Buick's answer is GM's answer.
The elevator speech, please.
I don't have it with me. Sorry.
Darn it, you're so good at this. You're always so good at this.
I know.
Okay, I'll let you get by with that one. Well, if anybody else has questions, Ben, do we have anybody else in the chat room? I'm like Chelsea Handler tonight, and he's my Chewy. He's my little nugget over there. Sorry, that was a bad Chelsea Handler joke. So demeaning to my producer. And I think that Chelsea herself, the real Chelsea Sexton, has taken a break. So I will say, Nick, I think we've gotten through all of our questions. I don't think anybody's asking more questions right now, but I really appreciate you coming on. And I see your
next questioner.
Oh, we actually just got a question. You mind staying? It's VRM Chris. Oh, he dropped. Oops.
Well, we answered it.
I think that means Nick wants to go to bed.
No. Are you kidding me? It's only 9:40. Time to start second shift.
Is it really not? I don't even know.
Next questioner.
Oh, see there we have Rick. So hi Rick from San Diego again. You're on with Nick Richards.
Yeah, Nick. I was saying about the Mazda 3s. Now you got the great-looking Astra 5-door. Is there any chance that thing might come over to the U.S.? I know you're talking about the GTC. That thing would be a great replacement for a Vibe. About every day in the parking lot, I walk past a guy who has a silver Vibe that's parked right next to a Mazda 3, and these things are very similar vehicles.
Yeah. You know, there's been I've seen a lot of comments and a lot of speculation lately. I can't comment on any of the speculation.
I understand, but just something to think about. That thing those things they have a lot of versatility, you know, because a lot of people, in California, Florida, Texas, very active people, do a lot of, you know, surfing and whatnot, and it's a very versatile vehicle for people. You know, it's a hatch and gets great gas mileage.
Yep.
So,
I cannot disagree with any of those points.
In the GTC, is there any? Well, you can't really say, but is there any? Can you give us a hint? Is there any chance of the GTC and the coupe and the cabrio coming over the Astra?
I can't give any hints whatsoever.
Okay.
If I started to give a hint, my shot collar would go off and the phone would automatically go dead.
But I think Buick has a lot of potential out here. I really do. I think if you broaden your approach a little bit, you could sell a ton of vehicles, and you wouldn't hurt Chevy, because Chevy's got a great lineup coming up. The Malibu, there's Cruze. You guys wouldn't hurt anybody. You guys got a great lineup, the whole from Chevy, Buick, GMC, and Cadillac. I think you guys got a lot of potential, really.
I tell you, Rick, it's very encouraging to hear, especially coming from somebody out on the West Coast. You know, sometimes we get a little isolated.
We like cars out here. We have a car show every year, and we like American cars. It's funny, you know. It kind of frustrates me. These guys we have a car show in April. Well, this year was in June, but you know they bring in their '55 Chevys. In fact, some of them were daily drivers. You see these old Chevys and Fords and all American cars in the, you know, is there project cars or custom cars. These guys are hot rodders, and you know you see them driving Camrys and stuff. It's depressing.
Yeah, you know, we're making inroads. We've still got a long way to go. You know, but the fact that we've got people's attention now and are starting to get, you know, get people
I think
back
the styling is really what attracts people to Buicks. I mean, they have great look, and with the driving dynamic, that's what's important out here, because you know, you got to drive 30 miles to work. You might as well have a little bit of fun sometimes.
Yeah, well, you got some fantastic roads out there too.
Yeah, because I think of Verano.
Once you get off the freeway.
Yeah, it'd be close to, I guess, 40 miles to a gallon with the e-assist, I guess, or high 30s anyway. I mean, that'd be a great commuter vehicle for somebody, you know.
Well, thank you, Rick from San Diego, for calling back in. And, well, Nick, one more question. What are you driving right now?
What am I driving right now? I'm sitting in my basement.
God.
But I just got out of a Enclave, and right now I'm driving a Suburban.
Anything exciting coming up for the Enclave?
I
mean, you can say I can't answer that because it means something is.
You mean anything more exciting than the fact that this car continues to break sales records for us? You know, I really can't say.
See, I knew it. It's exciting news. It's breaking non-news.
You heard it here first. Michelle said the future of the Enclave is exciting.
The future of the Enclave is exciting because we can't talk about it.
Well, there are a lot of exciting things.
I love not talking about things, Nick. Baja Buster's asking in the chat room, baby Enclave. Ooh, that would be sweet.
A baby Enclave.
You got really quiet there. Well, Nick, I really appreciate you coming on tonight. I think Chelsea must have gone to deal with the men in her life. Sometimes she has to cook dinner. Sometimes I do that, too. I don't cook for Ben. He's ordering me dinner. But thank you so much, Nick Richards from Buick. I really appreciate you taking the time. And you guys, I know you're about to move.
Working on it.
Awesome. Well, good luck
Working on
with
it.
that.
Thank you. We're popping at the seams here, so we're thinking about moving. We'll stay in the area.
Well, of course you have to. It's Buick land. Well, I will see you in a couple of weeks, and I'm sure everyone will be, looking for you and I on the Twitter, because you are you're at Nick_Richards.
Correct.
On Twitter.
And I'm happy to answer if anybody didn't get a question in tonight and they want to shoot it to me on Twitter. Feel free. I'll be happy to respond.
Awesome, because this will also be on iTunes at some point next week. So I'm sure we'll get like 10 million people downloading it, because we're going to beat out in Corolla.
I like it.
Awesome. I will see you soon, Nick. Thank you very much, and thank you for Chelsea, too.
Thanks for having me on. It was a blast.
Bye.
Your conference recording has stopped. Q&A session is over.
Okie dokie. Free for all. You guys can call back in as normal.
That was brilliant. I mean, I did not see the opportunity coming.
The opportunity for what?
For me to rant, for me to voice my frustration, the
But
general
that's
emotion.
what Open Line's all about, Sean. It's the ability to give you your voice, no matter how boring I think you are. El Camino, El Camino, El Camino.
To be honest, I'm going to be honest. I stopped my movement for the El Camino a long time ago, but then I met some people who also like manual transmission and rear drive, and we are now continuing doing the Lord's work with renewed vigor.
You and Ray Wirt? I mean, are you like having a child?
Nah, me and a couple of my buddies from the Air Force Academy.
Right. I forgot. Those Coloradoans.
I'm really in Texas.
So how would that, like, seriously, how would an El Camino go at Pikes Peak?
Actually, at Pikes Peak, they're actually paving it, so, maybe it'll go pretty well. Yeah, they are paving. I believe next year's race is the last one as it is, and then they're going to pave it. So, we'll see. But as it is, the Genesis, I believe Reese Miller put his Genesis coupe up there. So, I don't think
is that why everyone's racing to race up there, is because they're just trying to do it before
they pave it?
Is that
pretty much
how
neuter the course itself.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I would tend to agree with that.
Agree with what?
Agree with the fact that people are trying to race. We're trying to race this past year because they know next year the entire course of Pikes Peak is going to be paved.
Oh yeah.
And that record might get shattered again. The one that's set by Monster.
So what happens with records like that when the record can't possibly be the same, right? Like.
Well, they probably put an asterisk by it, like paved there or unpaved there or something like that. I don't know. Differentiate it.
There'll probably be an asterisk by his record because he'll say that's the last year that parts of the course were unpaved, and then from 2012 that it will be paved.
Yeah.
It's going to be it's a different road.
Shouldn't the asterisk go by the guy with the pavement? It says, like, stupid guy ran on pavement.
I personally agree with it, but they'll probably use the last year as an asterisk to differentiate. Okay,
right.
That was way back when. That was back when. This is the better term, new Pikes Peak. It's going to be like almost any other hill climb now, in that way, where it's practically all paved.
Now, I read another random article about this Maserati SUV based off the Grand Cherokee, and I was really wondering, have they learned anything?
Do you think that's really real? Do you really think that's real?
Well, I do think the Maserati will come out SUV with actually some distant relation to the Cherokee. Yes, I do believe that. With that, but I think
what was it that you read?
It was an article
like
from this
Car Scoop or Car Express or something. It was a UK thing that I saw it on.
For me, it was an independent journalist. Maybe he probably copied for somebody else, but for me, it was an independent journalist who just does random auto stuff. But yeah, so I do think it's true because Ferrari, Maserati, they're pretty much almost one the same. But I think for more experimental, disregarding the FF here, for more experimental, Maserati would be the guinea pig for that. I think that's going to be more the mainstream than Ferrari. Ferrari's going to be Ferrari. Maserati's going to be more appealing, want to be more appealing to a broader audience. So I do think that holds water about a possible Maserati SUV.
Well, if you look at the Cayenne, it's the best-selling Porsche.
And they're coming out with the two-door smaller, the Cajun, I think. So
yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, you're right. They are coming out with a smaller one, which. Porsche, come on.
Well, it's every guy's way of buying a Porsche without having to say to their wife, we actually own a Porsche that I always wanted. They have to compromise, right? They get or the
Panamera.
Yeah.
It's kind of funky looking, but yeah, probably the same thing. Honey, it has a back seat. Look, the kids fit.
Well, apparently the Panamera has been a really great entry-level car for them, where what's happening is people come in, they buy a Panamera for themselves or their wife, and then they end up getting to come back and they buy the 911. And so they're seeing actually an increase in sales on 911 just from people that already own a Cayenne or a Panamera.
Yeah, speaking of 911,
I thought that was the purpose of the Cayenne, just taking a rebadged Touareg. Not much effort. Can I get a 911? That's what I thought. But I guess the Panamera is a better example of that now.
Yeah. What do you guys think of that 911 ads with the, it does everything kind of thing? It's kind of a new take.
Huh?
They have a new ad campaign out on TV?
Well, they show the
pickup truck, school bus.
You're right, yeah.
I think that was pretty clever, actually.
Yeah.
With that, yeah. Actually, God bless Porsche because, for their high performance cars, they're one of the very few automakers that are still standing by the manual transmission. With that said, yes, they have the PDK and everything, but for their high-end car, the GT2 and GT3, they're only available with manual. So God bless them.
A real manual, right?
Yeah, real proper manual gearbox.
With a real clutch that really works?
Yes. My gosh. That is awesome. God bless Porsche.
Yeah. Is the El Camino guy still on?
I am the El Camino guy.
Oh, okay. You guys sound kind of similar to me. Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea for Chevy. You wouldn't even have to advertise it. You put it on a website like GMI or just about anybody. Heck, because they're not going to sell 50,000 of them, but you don't have to. How many? It's kind of like the 911 thing or the Cayenne. How many people are going to buy an El Camino and end up buying a Cruze or a Malibu? What do you think? Still there?
Sounds like not that many.
Yeah. Because it's a vehicle you don't really have to advertise. You just kind of put it out there and people buy it.
It's a very common denominator car.
Right. It's just one of those things that attracts people in, which I think would do a little bit better job than the SSR. But
anything does a better job than the SSR.
Well, I think the cost on the convertible top kind of and it really wasn't as roomy or utilitarian as El Camino is, but that's another story.
Well, it was wicked expensive for what it was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Oh. The El Camino guy has returned. I had to make a phone call. Anyways.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, phone call from one of my idiot friends saying, hey, look, we just saw a gerbil die on our street here. I'm like, imbecile. Anyways.
Yeah, because I think you could sell a lot of cruises and Malibus off the El Camino. It's just people walking in looking at El Caminos. Next thing you know, they're driving home in a Malibu.
You know, the El Camino is a perfect person for somebody like me, somebody who's not married, does not have children, who actually does ski, who does surf, and does random stuff. And I don't want a Silverado, or it's perfect. Or if but with that said, though, the El Camino will be more of a sports car.
Oh yeah.
It's the Hoonmobile. It's a burnout gadget.
Right. The Aussies say they use them a lot for work down there, but in the U.S. I see them definitely, like you say, throw the surfboard in the back or do whatever, and throw the dirt bike in the back and head out to the dunes and have fun.
I actually have an El Camino, an old '84, and I throw a snowmobile in the back. It actually can haul a snowmobile.
Wow. A snowmobile.
Yes, without the entire rear suspension falling apart. That is quite impressive for a rusty bucket like mine.
You got to put chains on, or you just get snow tires, or?
Yeah.
The rear-wheel drive cars will go pretty good in the snow if you know how to drive them. But.
Yeah, exactly. I had a BMW too before. It got wrecked. God bless that car. Anyway, but yeah, I drive the El Camino in the snow a lot when I'm going to work or whatever. So, and it does well. I put snow tires on or chains if I don't have my tires on at the time. So, and it still makes it just fine. I've never gotten stuck in a rear drive vehicle in the snow.
Yeah, good set of snow tires, all you need.
True enough. That goes well. But still, car companies are really trying to take advantage of the naivety. Subaru's done it for a long time about snow and all that, all-wheel drive. I'm like, yes, all-wheel drive's good and all, but, you can be just as good with two-wheel drive, front or rear.
You have a lot of fun with a two-wheel drive car and a rear-wheel drive car in the snow. That's what empty parking lots are for. See how good your donut skills are.
Oh, yeah. Donuts for the win.
Evening, everybody.
Hello.
Christian.
Yay. Christian from RandallTable.com. Or Randall.
How's Round?
What the heck is the URL?
RandallTable.com will get you there, no problem.
How's the show, Christian? Hello.
It's going well. How are you?
I'm fine. Yesterday I received my Fast Lane Daily shirt from JF. It was
excellent,
awesome.
As did I.
Oh, lovely. He is not a douche. I can actually check him off my non-douche list.
Is that your rule? Everyone's a douche until proven innocent?
I don't know. Well, for some, but now Alex Roy will probably never get off my list. I might just give up. I mean, the guy's cool, but he's a douche. He really is. I mean, you running around in the E39 M5, driving it across the country, back across the world, pulling people over with your police sirens on the car. You're a douche.
You're just resourceful.
Huh.
Okay, I'm going to do hourlies, and then I'm going to take a few minutes of a break. And you know what I want for you and Chelsea to talk about? The 7 Series Hybrid.
Oh, okay. Lord Jesus.
Oh,
and
no.
I really want I have to, get this conversation going because Stephen Ewing was in one, and I think Dave Sullivan was from Auto Pacific as well, and he actually wrote about it. I have to get in this car at some point just to say, oh, my God. But if you've just joined us, this is Open Line, our weekly automotive get-together. I am Michelle Naranjo from Autobytel.com, and Chelsea Sexton, my co-host, is from ChelseaSexton.com, and we do this every week from 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, until everyone is tired of talking. Join us on the conference call at 712-432-0900, access code 911633#, and you can find all that information and the chat room and listen to us through the internets on bit.ly/openline, OPENLINE. And thank you so much. Special thanks to our partners for co-streaming tonight's webcast, GMInsideNews.com, the web's GM News Source, and FordInsideNews.com, the web's Ford News Source. See, we've added one since a year ago. Isn't that awesome?
Look at that.
Look at that. So thank you guys. Christian, what's up with you?
Not too much. Just, doing my thing. And started making appearances every once in a while on Roundabout as well, over with you and Ben and Craig and all those guys.
On the Roundabout?
Yes. That place.
The Roundabout.
Yes. Exactly. And, just doing Roundel Table as usual. And, just cruising along in life.
Hey, Christian, you should really bring Josh Lewis on Open Line. Really.
No.
He's,
hey, Mud.
Hello.
It is fairly amusing people who know my show here that are making those comments, actually.
Yeah, let's not do that.
It's kind of scary that I know Mud's voice by him saying, no.
Yeah, that is pretty sad, actually. I don't know why, but it is.
Hey, Mud Monster, are you still continuing your quest for the Cadillac DTSV?
Sort of.
I see.
I think Mud's on a quest for any car that isn't the current Volvo Squareback that he would be sharing with some family member at any given point.
And by given family member, that would be me and my alter ego.
Right.
Give me the Volvo. At least I would never die if I get into a crash in it.
My sister just bought a 1992 240 sedan.
See, that's the one I wish I had, actually.
What's that?
Rear drive?
The 240.
240 is great. I love it. That was actually the first car that she and I ever had. Was a 1985 240 wagon, and it was a beast. And when she was car shopping earlier this summer, she was looking at the standard Honda, Toyota, that kind of thing, just something to get her from A to B because she doesn't have a lot of money to work with. She's a college student, and then she came across a Volvo, and she's like, oh, that might be an option. And then that was all she was looking at once she had her mind on that. So, and she found an excellent one.
Volvos are badass. No matter who owns them, they're just awesome. They really are. I love them.
They're great cars.
You know what? I want to bring this up really quickly. I'm gonna like throw a bomb and then I'm gonna run away for a minute. So
welcome to my life.
I get up this morning. I turn on CNN headline news after I go through like the 30 hotel room like channels that you don't ever want to watch. I finally find the news and it's headline news, and they start talking over and over again every 30 minutes about Honda not being like promoted by Consumer Reports anymore. Consumer Reports has decided the new Civic is not a good car. And now Consumer Reports, let's get this straight. So they were criticized for always giving Honda high marks, right? Which on one hand people could say, well, Honda got a lot of business off of Consumer Reports doing that. But at the same time, Consumer Reports sold a lot of magazines because they got Honda buyers to just reconfirm over and over again.
Does anybody read Consumer Reports? Good
cars. Now the new Civic is not that different from the old Civic, and suddenly Consumer Reports found its voice and decided it's a horrible car.
Fair enough.
I don't think it's found its voice. It's just that I guess people are actually wanting to listen to it now. I didn't read Consumer Reports.
What's their criteria for making a car a good car?
Honda's rebuttal was that it's safer and it's quieter and it has the qualities on the interior that people wanted. I haven't been in one. I'll be clear about that. I have not been in the new one.
Yeah, I haven't either. But I guess what I'm wondering is, first of all, what other cars did they rate higher than the Accord or the Civic, and what do Consumer Reports consider to be the elements that they look at when they're considering a good car or a bad car?
Well, so here's what's funny. So CNN was all about the fact that Consumer Reports says that the 2012 Civic sucks. So somebody had to put a press release out about that, and I'm kind of assuming it was Consumer Reports. I don't know what it made it less than or better than, but it's almost like they were going like, look, we're being real automotive journalists now.
Look at me, I'm being a real auto journalist.
Exactly.
Yeah, I suppose. I guess I have to wonder, and I heard somebody mention it a few minutes ago, does Consumer Reports really still carry that much weight?
Yeah, you know what, some of the people in the chat room are saying that too, and it's funny, like you have to wonder, do they? Because they're such an institution, you can't quote them if you write something. They have like such strict laws around
everybody knows who they are. Everybody knows who Consumer Reports is, but I feel like it could be that, you know, what they used to be maybe 20, 30 years ago, where they were like the standard for, you know, if you wanted to have the benchmark for things, you know, no matter what the category was, you know, you could go to them and you figure you get at least a useful, honest review. You know, that was what they built their reputation on. Now, you know, you can get information anywhere. It doesn't have to go through their, you know, institution. And, you know, people have their own preferred mediums now. And I feel like Consumer Reports is losing its relevance.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
but go ahead, Chelsea.
At the same time, part of it's, you know, who reads Consumer Reports or not, but there's 136 articles that have all been written about Consumer Reports dissing the Civic. So even if you didn't listen to Consumer Reports, Time, and Detroit News, and everybody else who's picked up this story, their readerships will end up saying, oh, well, obviously, if this other outlet pays attention to them, then it must carry some weight and be a big deal. That
which then makes you wonder what was the, you know, is it real? You know, like, maybe this was all a marketing ploy, and who knows? I don't know. I don't read Consumer Reports, and I think that there's a growing segment of the population, and it probably in the younger market where Consumer Reports doesn't have the same weight. You know, I don't really know any of my friends who think of Consumer Reports when they're looking for information. They think of Google when they're looking for information, and whatever comes up there, they vet it on their own personal.
Okay, so let me present this option.
I don't go to Consumer Reports directly.
Like Chelsea just brought up, so it gets distributed to Time and 100. Did you say 136 other places that reported on that today, Chelsea?
Yeah, at least. That was
okay, so 136 news outlets. I saw it on CNN Headline News, which I never watch CNN Headline News. I watch CNN maybe occasionally, but not CNN Headline News. It's very like Good Morning America all day long. So you have your young whatever that thinks that they're researching cars in their new way online, and they don't qualify for a loan. Their parents are going to have a say in what they buy. Their parents are going to be impacted probably by one of those 136 mainstream sites
that
are republishing Consumer Reports, because Consumer Reports has that brand equity. It's not going away yet. So, I mean, you can't make it go poof, right?
Well, and I think it's more people like us that pay attention to the inside baseball of whether Consumer Reports carries weight or not. I think in the main, average consumer community, they're not aware of, the decline of Consumer Reports compared to other outlets. I don't think it's hit that yet.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't know. I guess because I don't even think of Consumer Reports as something to think about anymore, to me this doesn't sound like a big deal, but I guess I'm just the wrong demographic to make a judgment there.
I think that's right. It's just we're just the wrong group with Consumer Reports. It's like you said earlier, Christian. We'll just go on to Google and just look up reviews of stuff. We don't pull out an issue of Consumer Reports and just finger our way through to find what we're looking for anymore.
Right. It's like if I'm interested in car stuff, I'm going to go to car websites. Or if I'm interested in buying a new phone, I'm going to go to sites that review phones. I don't look for the catch-all when I'm looking for good detailed information about something that has, somebody who focuses on all that. I'm looking for the folks who do that all the time. And even though Consumer Reports has a large staff and they have people who focus in each of those areas full time, I don't know. I have different places that I look. Now, as you said, Michelle, people, maybe an older generation, think of Consumer Reports more readily, so they would be more inclined to be affected by this, I guess. But to me, it doesn't seem like that big a deal. one way or the other, whether it's a good car or a bad car by Consumer Reports. It's a Civic. Who cares?
Right. VRM Chris and Dave in China are both pointing out Consumer Reports looking for long-term reliability and not like their initial impressions. And I guess that's true to a certain point, but there's so many companies now that do those sort of like initial within 90-day consumer reports of what you're happy with your car or not. Like J.D. Powers does it, Auto Pacific does it. There's a lot of them.
Okay, so the 2012 Civic, they're looking at long-term reliability. How have they done that?
Well, no, they haven't looked at long-term reliability. Like, they actually track cars over time, like J.D. Powers does, right?
Right,
Where
okay.
they will track service department, complaints and surveys and all that.
So, wait, are they saying then that maybe I'm misinterpreting this, but I thought they were saying that Consumer Reports focuses on the long-term Oh, never mind. I see what's going on. Never mind.
I think it's just part of Consumer Reports products.
They're saying that it's better, that Consumer Reports is better for looking at for the long-term reliability stuff,
right.
but for the initial assessments, not so much. That's what I'm gathering from the chat room, folks.
Yeah, it's very interesting because it's a very expensive magazine to buy, right?
Yeah, I want to say so.
I
maybe
think I bought one.
I think it's like maybe $6 the last time I was in a bookstore. So.
A website? Otherwise, I don't really look at them.
Yeah, but the access is limited to like members, and the only people I've ever known that have been members were, and I'm not trying to diss Consumer Reports at all. I seriously have no knowledge, insight at all.
With a model like that, you'd think they were a News Corp product.
Right. Like when I was a personal assistant, my bosses, the multimillionaires who made me cut coupons when I went grocery shopping, they had a Consumer Reports account and would
research. They had to get me multimillionaires somehow. Right,
exactly, because they knew how to save money. So I don't know. Maybe it's that good.
Who knows? I don't know. I guess to me, it's whenever I see something blow up like that about something that, in the big scheme of things, isn't a real big thing. Like, okay, we're all going to talk about this for the next 48 hours, that the Civic is now downrated, and then it might come up again in a year or two when they look at sales trends, and they might see the Civic went down, and that could be a contributing factor. But otherwise, everyone's going to look at this, talk about it for a couple of days, and then ignore it, because at the end of the day, it's a bunch of news outlets being real meta about other news outlets reporting on something.
It's meta news.
Yeah, so it's like, who cares? That's the only thing. That's serious inside baseball crap, and nobody really cares beyond a short, attention span. And so that's like when I see these kinds of things happen in any segment, whether it's automotive or anywhere else, news for the sake of news, I don't think carries a lot of weight necessarily.
Right.
So about that 7 Series hybrid.
Right?
Can we not talk about that? Because that just annoys me.
Let's just get this out the way now. Let's get this out the way now. It will be addressed.
See here.
Yeah, so Chelsea, do you think, that's not even good for the whole, it's not even good for anything.
This is like when they brought out the Escalade.
Lexus. Well, no, I'll defend the Escalade before I'll defend the Lexus version of it.
Okay, so the Tahoe is $20,000 cheaper than the hybrid, and it's not that different, right? But there is the Escalade brand.
At least the Tahoe and Escalade made some meaningful improvements in mileage compared to where they started. This is exactly like the whole mild hybrid argument, but the other end of the spectrum, the performance hybrid argument. And
Didn't the Suburban Hybrid win like green vehicle of the year? Was it like last year or?
I think it was 2008, the first year it came out.
Okay.
The Tahoe.
To me, this car seemed like it was obsolete before it even came out.
Well, Lexus came out with this car several years ago. The $100,000 hybrid that really wasn't about efficiency at all. It's all about performance and all that. And, it's been interesting because, when Honda tried to do it with the Accord, it fell flat on its face. It's only in this really uber luxury greenwashing category have they gotten away a little bit with these really expensive hybrids that really offer no benefit. But in regular cars, it got all sorts of flack. But it's certainly not unique or novel given that Lexus did it 5 years ago.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, It didn't do anything all that significant. It was some badges and some feel-good for people who can afford these cars to begin with, which is a pretty limited segment of the population, if we're honest.
Oh, yeah.
So this is, when I
you
heard
get
about
this or Tesla.
I'll put it to you this way. In the, 14, 15 months that we've been doing my show, I don't think we've once ever talked about the active hybrid 7.
Yeah.
Because it's not, I don't know. I like you said, it's not new. It doesn't make any meaningful change. It's built on a platform that is designed for totally different uses. I mean, this is designed for somebody who wants, total luxury, plenty of power, and still some handling. This is not built on a platform that's designed for, economical fuel use. This is for people who aren't as concerned. They're not concerned about the amount of fuel they're burning. They're concerned about what's on the inside of the car and that they can get there quickly and comfortably.
Well, and I'm really curious to see if now there's any pushback on those buyers, because if you're in the $110,000 category, you're well within beyond the highest end Model S, you're beyond the Fisker Karma, and you're in the Roadster range. So the Roadster is a completely different kind of car, but if you're someone that's wanting that green badge and you want something luxury, there will soon be other offerings within months.
We talked about some of this that was the major focus on tonight's roundtable, was the whole thing about the new i3 and i8 and all the announcements they made there. The i8 is a car that's going to be 4-door. It's going to be fast. It's going to handle. It's going to do all the things that BMW is expected to do, but it's going to be making some meaningful change in the way that it does its drivetrain arrangement.
It's a moderate plug-in hybrid, but yeah, compared to
this,
yeah.
And so I think that the active hybrid 7 was a Band-Aid.
I think it was a diversion. I wouldn't even put it a Band-Aid.
It was an answer to something that nobody was really asking about.
Yeah.
So is this been the decade of answers that questions answers the questions that haven't been asked? I mean,
now you're trying to extrapolate something that isn't there.
I mean, come on.
No, we're seeing more of it, but it's not like a new thing. This has been going on since the first car was introduced.
Right. What I see where Sean's trying to go. He's trying to say that because a couple of cars that made a half-hearted effort at hybrid technology, that it means that hybrids in general are useless vehicles, and I won't buy into that argument.
I'm not talking about hybrids. I'm talking about, is this the day for just cars that just shouldn't be made in general?
No,
for example,
I think that there were brilliant cars that came out of a variety of manufacturers in all different purposes that in the past 10 years that were very worthwhile and had impact on the automotive industry. This doesn't happen to be one of them in any stretch.
Well, better rear drive 7 Series hybrid than a front wheel drive electric BMW.
It depends on what you like.
And it's what are you looking at?
It should be a mini. It should be a mini. That's my opinion.
Well, that's an issue about brand inside baseball. So that's, but I would say in the hybrid world, the active hybrid 7 is not a player.
No.
I think
and certainly not once there are other entrants that are plugins of one sort or another, and still there's so many companies getting into that category now at the high end, Audi and all the others, that they will soon have some stiff competition, and the folks that bought the 430 or the 600 because it was the only sort of luxury hybrid out there and they got away with it, may not get away with it anymore.
Well, it totally depends on what you want out of your car. If you're somebody who wants a hybrid for the fuel savings and all the economical reasons and everything, then this isn't going to be a car that you'll probably be too interested in. But if you're somebody who's interested in getting a car that has all the things of a normal 7 Series or high-end Lexus or any of these kinds of things, and then just happens to get some hybrid technology in there for basically the right to say that you have it, and maybe a gain of 1 or 2 miles per gallon, if you're lucky, then maybe you're interested in this. So it's either you want the hybrid because you like hybrids, or you want the hybrid because you want to say you have a hybrid.
No, I know, but the people in the second group, I'm not sure that the ability to say you have it is going to be worth as much when the rest of the public will look at you and go, yeah, but if you were serious about green and you wanted a luxury, you could have gotten this, or this. You know, this,
yeah,
at this point.
No, but people who have thought that have never taken these guys seriously.
The people that the greenwashing folks are trying to get cred with, I don't think.
I'm saying like the folks that have been serious about, you know, and have been saying just, you know, if you're really serious about doing hybrid and green energy, then you won't buy one of these cars. Those folks, you know, they've been saying that the whole time.
Yeah, but I'm saying even the ones that aren't serious probably won't get away with this car the way that they did with the Lexus 5 years ago. Because 5 years ago there wasn't another better luxury-minded hybrid. Now this is the worst in terms of efficiency and green and all that example of a hybrid or better.
Right.
So it's like, I mean, it's a similar thing with the plug-in Prius. For their category, it's the most minimally electrified plug-in we're going to get in the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Versus the Prius was always the leader in its category. So, you know, those dynamics are changing as other cars are beating the capabilities with the same green cred and often at a lower price for even the luxury features.
Right. And now, to me, it seems though like there's as somebody who is not necessarily going to be immediately shopping for a hybrid because it's a hybrid. Maybe I'm not as well versed, but it seems to me as that consumer that there isn't something that's really appealing to my segment yet, which is, you know, the more performance minded while still fuel conscious and attractive and stylish and not looking like a Prius, if I'm honest, kind of a hybrid out there. I don't know of anything that I would even begin to be able to afford that fits that category. And it may not be there yet, and I'm sure it's coming. But I'm just saying, as somebody who's in that mindset, you know, I don't know of anything off the top of my head that would fit those criteria.
No, I think so too. But I'm curious to see how this plays out. But I think that the folks that are truly performance-minded will actually end up liking a more electrified something.
I agree. I totally.
If not plug-in hybrid, then a stronger, more series-oriented plug-in, if not a pure EV, because the torque and performance factor is so much different. So I'm not sure those folks will resonate to gasoline hybrids at all.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. That makes sense to me. And trust me, I've long been an advocate for the performance benefits of an electric drive system. But at this point, you know, it's a transitional phase, and as I've always said anyway, this is early stage in the technology. You know, the best is certainly yet to come.
Yeah, well, and most automakers don't yet recognize that there are a segment of people who are both interested in something with a plug and performance. So there's a few of us that keep telling every one of them, like, we want more torque, give us the SS version, whatever, and they kind of go, really? Someone would want that? They don't get it. They think it's only the Enviros, and back to the earlier conversation, it's not generally about them yet at all. It's much more cool, fast, and fun.
Right. Yeah, because, I mean, like, for example, my sister, she's an environmental sciences major, and she is all about environmental preservation. Her goal is to become a consultant for helping companies become more green and reduce their impact and be more energy and environmentally conscious, and that's what she'd like to do professionally. She's long been an advocate for all that kind of stuff, and yet she has no interest in any hybrid that exists right now.
Yeah, me neither.
Right. So it's like, and so it's that segment that's like, I love the environment. I want to do what I can to help it, and you know, I want to save some money at the pump, but there's nothing there for me right now.
Yeah. Well, and it's going to require the market giving that feedback. So that the automakers do understand that we do want smaller, less luxury, you know, not $100,000 performance.
Right. We don't want an active hybrid set.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a ridiculous car.
No, I'm just listening and just like
Man, this is so interesting right now because it's like I don't know what to say really.
We're all in rabid agreement.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
I'm more amazed at the future, like 20 years from now, seeing electric dragsters just having at it.
They already do that to some extent. You can look up videos on YouTube of electric dragsters that are whooping the internal combustion ones. And the loudest part of the car is the tires.
And for me, as I said earlier, I'm all for alternative fuel vehicles, but for the most part, they're not for me. And for me, with electric cars in that situation, it's similar to me preferring manual transmission. Yes, it's not the petrol is not the best at what it does, or the manual's not best at what it does either. But for me, it just has this, the internal combustion engine. You can work on the engine or blah blah blah, do this or whatever.
Okay.
In fact, I saw a CRZ hybrid. It was like souped up. It was weird. It had turbocharged, and he put a large electric motor. I'm like, that's all interesting, but I guess I like the past. I guess I'm stuck in the past for me.
Perhaps, but I'm just saying the idea of electric cars aren't for me. Well, based on what? As I just said, yeah, I love the idea of the technology, but at the moment, there's nothing I would be willing to go and put money on in that segment. Doesn't mean that I won't, and it doesn't mean that I am opposed to them categorically. It just means that I haven't seen anything yet that makes me want to go buy it. But I am expectant and excited about what is coming later. And I'm a big manual transmission fan as well. I won't drive a gas car with an automatic. I won't buy one that has an automatic because, for me, I have no use for that. But that is a model that is wedded to the internal combustion engine because that's what it requires. When you talk about an entirely different drivetrain and power output system, that discussion, it doesn't translate. There's no analog to it because they operate totally differently. So the feeling that you get from rowing through the gears on an internal combustion engine is not going to be replicated in trying to apply a manual transmission to an electric drive system because the power output and everything about it is completely different.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to giving up my manual either, but you get enough torque in an EV and it makes up for it in different ways. I don't know anyone who's driven a Roadster and came back and said, I wish I had a manual.
Yeah, I'm loving the idea of a car that'll rev to 15,000, 16,000 RPM and still maintain torque at the top of the rev spectrum, and be able to just blast around corners with that engine or the motor revving real high, and that sounds like a total blast to me. I love that.
It is.
But I don't have it yet, but it sounds like an awesome thing to do, and just because I haven't tried it yet doesn't mean I hate it. Quite opposite. I really love the idea of that. It doesn't mean that it's any more or less exciting than a manual transmission made into a good, strong internal combustion engine that lets me roll through the gears and have a blast that way. It's just different. Anyway.
We agree. So who else should we pick on?
Yeah. What else are we talking about that I missed? Anything?
I know. Sorry, you guys. I'm like sitting here trying. I'm like been traveling, so I'm sitting here looking at my cell phone, going like, "Oh my God! I have all these emails. I have to like."
Sometime answer one day in my life.
Right. And the funny thing is, I have two Blackberries, and one updates to like local time wherever I am, and the other one doesn't. So when I make appointments, I'm never sure if I'm doing it right.
You should be able to change that in the settings.
When are you going to become my tech guy?
What BlackBerry do you have?
Ben's like really, really reluctant.
What BlackBerry is it that you're trying to change?
Oh no, which is really screwed up because this phone actually stays on California time all the time. But at one point, it actually for some reason updated when I was at the Detroit Auto Show, and so it shows like roundabout like 3 hours before it ever happens. Yeah, so like every day, every Friday at noon, I get this like email alert. It's time for roundabout.
Yeah, I that would be annoying. You're right. Yeah, I don't know that much about BlackBerry. I've never had one, but I'm happy to help you in whatever way I can. I just don't know that much about BlackBerry.
Yeah, no, it's just silliness. There's way too much, like, it's way too much BlackBerryness going on right now.
Yeah, carefully get mess on your fingers with the BlackBerries.
It's true.
Anyway,
so what did we not cover? Automated cars. Dr. Nick wants to talk about automated cars. Dr. Knock. That's what we should go. I'm in a hospital in Connecticut, and I want Dr. Knock.
All right, well, let's talk about automated cars. It's an interesting conversation. Wherever your position is on that, it's interesting. And there we go again.
No, I'm just trying to think what I really think about them, because there's a few different sides I think about automated cars. So.
We honestly might need automated cars.
Yeah, but I don't know. But when are we gonna get them? Because everybody's like, oh, we're gonna have the roads are gonna be automated, but it's like, when is that gonna really realistically happen? I mean,
Volvo's apparent goal, their Vision 2020 thing, or whatever it is, 2020, they're hoping to have at least cars that can't get in accidents. That's their claim. That they'll be communicating with other cars on the road and the grid, and they'll know about everything that's going on. It'll all be digital communication about traffic situations and traffic lights and people around you and all these different things, to the point that the car will have a better picture of the road than you do, and can make snap decisions based on all these different inputs and protect the vehicle from.
But I really don't believe we will see it that soon. I mean, yes, there is technologies now that are starting to come out, like self parking, brake assist, automated cruise control, and stuff like that. And I know we're heading into that direction, but I just don't think it's going to be later than we really think right now.
Okay, well let's talk about some of the other technologies, like the ones that they used in the Google automated cars, like the LiDAR. Generate a 3D picture of the car's surroundings at all times.
Right.
Right. You mean you can do it? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if it can be like because it's like I'm trying to remember because I've seen pictures and I'm trying to remember what it looks like at the moment. Isn't there like a dish or something on? Yeah,
there's like a spinning dome on the top.
Okay.
And it pumps out ultra high frequency waves which bounce back. It's like radar, but it's much higher resolution and much faster to calculate, and it creates a 3D image of the surroundings of the dome.
Okay.
Well, and it's the same kind of thing that GM's doing on the Envy. I mean, there's their sonar, but it's all similar. I mean, there are vehicles that have been tested for years, well before the DARPA challenge, that have used this technology. But if X Prize and other things are anything to go by, it's going to end up taking longer from a legislative and regulation standpoint,
right? That's
from a technology standpoint.
Right. I mean, the technology is coming along at a pretty quick rate, but the thing is, it's like, are we going to have the regulations? Are we going to have the roads? Are we going to have all this stuff when that technology is really ready? And I don't think we're there yet. I think we're like way behind.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think we're behind in a as Chelsea said, the regulation and
right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, the technology is just banging out like every month or something. There'll be like an automaker introducing or a company saying, "Hey, well, here's this new technology and stuff."
The prototypes already exist that prove it can be done even today. Not maybe foolproof, but really pretty well. And 10 years from now, it'll be pretty astonishing what's available then. But it's just people are going to get the willies about seeing the driver of the car asleep while they're driving down the highway.
Yeah, I'm not really comfortable with it at the moment, but I know in time I will start to get comfortable with it. It's just when someone says to me, about self-driving cars, it's like, but I know in time I'll start to get comfortable with it. It's just now it's like that fear that you're like, what do you mean the car's driving itself?
It's kind of the uncanny valley method. It's the closer things start to get to human behavior and appearances, the more people get the willies about it.
Right.
And when the cars start to behave and act like human beings would have them behaving and acting, people get uncomfortable with it, because then it's the uncanny valley. If a when somebody does something stupid in the car, you're like, all right, well, it's a human being. They make mistakes, and or whatever. Just anything that happens, you're like, oh, well, it's a human being doing it, so that's understandable. But when the computer makes the decisions, it's a totally different thing. Now, driving from a purely objective perspective, the act of driving and moving a vehicle around with other vehicles and things around it is actually a pretty good situation for a computer to be having controls, because when you think about it, everything taking place there is a calculation. Whether or not you realize you're doing it, when you drive, you're making constant calculations about what's going around. You're looking at, this car is X amount of distance from me. This car is X amount of distance. I need to leave this much room between the one in front of me, and I need to push the brakes this hard, and I need to turn this much. All of these things are calculations. We don't think of them as math equations because we just do them because we see it, we react. But a computer can take inputs, many more inputs at once, and run the calculations much faster and make more accurate decisions than a human being in a tight spot. So from that pure perspective there, it would make total sense that you'd want a computer to be, at the very least aiding you in the driving and possibly doing the driving, because it can think better than we can in those situations where it's all math. Right.
Don't you think at some point it's
not 100%, but there most of the situations you encounter as a driver are pretty well calculable.
Don't you think at some point, like, there's the people that are going to drive their cars that are for fun, and then they're going to have their automated cars or their alternative fueled vehicles that are just for commuting or whatever. It's just going to divide the line of, like, we have our fun cars and we have our cars we have.
I wouldn't mind having my car to both, because I'll be honest, I love driving my car around on the fun roads, but if I'm driving 8 hours on I-95, I want nothing more to be able to just sleep I-95 sucks.
Right. I'm the same way. If I have to drive through the second half of Illinois, which is just cornfields, and I want to just throw myself out the window, I wouldn't mind a self-driving car at all. I would actually love that.
Exactly. But when I get to where I'm going, I'm sure there are roads that I'd like to be able to take the wheel.
Right. And I think there was... Go ahead, Chelsea.
Oh, I think part of the discomfort by folks is probably also a, big brother lack of control kind of thing. So if there's a way to have both modes in the same car, then it eases that transition a little bit. Because when you want to drive, you get to drive.
Right. But, I can think of, the cases, examples of driving down the highway. It's a pretty gut and dry act. You get on the highway, you hit a certain speed, you keep certain distance from other cars. Occasionally you might change lane, but you're always going in the same direction. The traffic flow is all going in one direction. You don't have cross traffic. You don't have any of these things. That's a pretty simple thing to be able to handle as a piece of software. There's comparatively few inputs and conditions to factor in, and especially if the cars are communicating with each other, then even better. They know ahead of time what the car is going to do in front of them or next to them, and they can compensate and make that decision well in advance. And they can apply the braking and leave the spacing that's necessary and allow traffic to merge smoothly to cut down on congestion and bottlenecking and all that, because the cars can all just make the calculated decisions on their own.
But what if the calculated decision is, okay, I think I shouldn't go on this exit because then I might cause a traffic jam. Then they drive right past the exit you want to go, and you're like, no, you imbecile. I was learning late.
Why would it be a traffic jam if the cars are communicating? They know what the traffic conditions are, and the other cars around them know that car is going to need to do that. There wouldn't be a traffic jam because everybody would just compensate for that. It would be.
Actually, I think that there was just an article that I emailed to Ben tonight. Did you get that, Ben? The one about how the automated, like, how there could be potentially no traffic jams in the future.
Right. Because think about it. What causes traffic jam? Almost every situation, a traffic jam is caused by either an accident where somebody makes a poor judgment and a collision occurs, or a mechanical failure in some cases, but more than it's almost always human error that results in an accident, or ego and aggressive driving. When you're going from 3 lanes to 2 and people are just refusing to allow other people to merge the proper way, and you don't just zipper together and keep going, people start to be jerks about it, and then the bottlenecks occur. Or rubbernecking because of something going on, people slow down. All these things that happen because human beings get either distracted or aggressive about their driving. But if you have software that's objective, doesn't have these issues, and can keep all these things straight while they're going about their business, and even better, if they can talk to each other and be forewarned about activities that are going to be taking place ahead of them, where is the potential? I mean, all those issues that cause traffic jams now are alleviated.
Now, I will say this. I have been stuck in a traffic jam because a trailer of lumber, all the lumber fell off.
Mm-hmm. Right. Anomalies happen.
Yeah.
You can't account for everything, but when you can take out 90% of the cause of the causes, a lot better.
I guess I'm for automated cars in a sense because I like to sleep a lot, and that will really take a lot of time out of my day driving.
Yeah.
However, with that said, there are a couple of times of the day, not too many, that I actually like, okay, I actually want to drive now.
Right.
Oh dear, I can't drive. It's automated.
Not saying the car is 100% automated. You still have a wheel, you still have all the human controls, but when you're on, there could be certain areas that it's recommended that the car does the driving. You get on the highway and there's a sign that says this area is recommended for automated driving or whatever. And then, or in some areas it might start to require it. That on certain highways that are known for congestion or things like that, very busy arteries, they say this is an automated driving zone. And then the car, and the car gets triggered and it takes it over. But when you're not in those areas, you have the you're perfectly well within your rights and abilities to drive the car yourself.
That will be odd to see the gear shift rolling through the gears without me actually doing them.
And there's the uncanny valley issue. It's you get to the point where it's creepy because the car is doing things like a human being would.
Yeah, I just put a link to the article from Fast Company, the traffic problems that will disappear when vehicles can talk to each other.
Did my car just double? My car just double clutch. So weird. Heel toe shifting. Oh my god.
Yeah. But I mean, when you think about it just from the the 10-mile perspective, instead of just sitting in your car and you look at the whole picture, I'm just thinking of my own experience, the DC Beltway. Wouldn't it be great if instead of everyone getting jammed up because few people made stupid decisions and suddenly you have 4 miles of traffic and it takes you 3 hours to get from one side of DC to the other, if everything just cruised along smoothly and your car had a full picture of everything that was going to be happening on the route and could be getting all that information real time to it and could know what was happening, talk to the cars around it and say, I'm going to be getting off at this exit in a mile and I'm going to be merging, all these kinds of things. Fine, great. And it can keep track of, 40 different inputs instead of the 1 or 2 that a human being can. I'm certainly all in favor of that on highways and stuff. On secondary roads, I don't think I want it. I'd like to be able to drive, and there's a number of roads around here where I'd be really upset if I wasn't able to drive it myself anymore. But at the same time, there are roads where I couldn't be happier if I'd never had to do any driving on them ever again.
Well, okay. Excuse me for interrupting here, but Baja Buster is leaving, and before you go, I appreciate all your effort to upload them classic Motor Week videos. They are amazing. seeing John Davis look the same way throughout 20 years of existing, except just turning a little bit browner. But yes, thank you for uploading all the videos. They're awesome. Anyways, continue God's work. All right. Sorry. Oh yeah. Hey, Mud Monster. You know who I just thought about? Literally just now.
What?
That old man who would randomly call into the show.
Oh God.
It's like fun. Wow. Anyways.
I'm amazed you actually just thought of that.
Sorry, I'm reading some stuff.
Chrysler should come out with a new Roadster. The new LeBaron built on the LX platform.
You want a new LeBaron?
Really? You want a LeBaron? Hey, why don't we just stick a Trident on there and there's the TC by Maserati?
Good. Let's bring back the Sebring.
Let me explain why. Because LeBaron is an awesome name, okay? Now just get a good product behind it. You know, I'm starting the rumors now. There is a Roadster coming. It's going to be called the LeBaron. It's going to have the Maserati V8 or whatever. And it's going to be, no, not even that. It's going to have a twin turbocharged Pentastar V6.
I'm sorry. They won't be able to. I don't think they'll be able to bring out a car called the LeBaron for at least 30 years until most of the people who remember what the LeBaron used to be are either dead or senile.
Exactly. Exactly. So therefore, to most people, it's a fresh name.
Right. For decades.
What? For what? Wait.
It won't be for.
You're cutting out.
It won't be for a number of decades from now until that's possible.
Who knows? It's not that much of a hindrance, in my opinion. Really?
Yeah. You know what other car Chrysler should bring back? The Plymouth Acclaim. Now there was a car.
Wow.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie though. Those cars from the '90s, those Chrysler cars, they had some of the awesomest names ever. Well, not even awesome, not a word, but whatever.
Awesome.
Best names ever. Seriously. I mean, come on, the Dodge Spirit. Are you kidding me? That is
too bad it didn't have any Spirit though, unless you got the RT model.
It really didn't. The Shadow. That was all. The Duster.
The Duster.
And they also like Chrysler's ill-fated attempt to bring out classic names. Put them on vehicles built with Mitsubishi, like the Challenger, which is just the Duster too. My God. Incredible.
Oh God. Horrible Chrysler cars from the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Chrysler has come very far. They really have. They really have.
And you're saying that Chrysler should bring back the LeBaron. Oh.
I think
bring back the LeBaron.
What I wish they would do is I wish they would bring back the Crossfire and do to it what they did to the Charger, which is just totally modernize it and make it, nice and not feel like a rental car.
The Crossfire sounds like a old Mission Impossible name.
Yeah, but what's wrong with that? Plus, the car was great looking.
I'll give you the convertible looked good. The coupe, it just didn't appeal to me.
I don't know. I always thought it was cool.
I think it's an ugly car, especially those lines that look like across the hood that look like a rack from the old Plymouth Sundance Rally Sport.
Details to it, the kinks in the hood could be fixed, but I'm saying the overall shape of the kind of retro roadster thing that they were doing with it, I think they did a good job with it, and with a few enhancements and tweaks to it to make it a little more modern and in keeping with what they're doing nowadays, it could be a pretty formidable player in that segment.
I will agree to disagree. I'll put it like that. I just don't like. I just never liked the car. To me, it just seemed too ugly. But but I did like the SRT6. I got to drive one of those, and it was pretty cool. I did like that. But then I love manual rear drive. I don't know, like good stuff. It was a very cool car. Now that had it was funny because the manual transmission, it wasn't. It's pretty much the same engine out of a C32 AMG. But you couldn't get the manual for that. But I guess it's Mercedes, boy. You never get manual on anything.
Right.
Hey, get you, Mud Monster. You talk, you keyboard warrior.
You're welcome.
I love the LeBaron. That car looked good, especially Chrysler TC Maserati.
What is wrong with you, dude? That gave Opera Windows a bad name.
The LeBaron? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was worse, but the TC just kind of put the death knell to him.
Did you guys remember? I don't know if you guys remember, but the LeBaron was actually the car used, like, remember the movie Jumanji? The aunt they stayed with when they moved to the new house and everything, her car was a Chrysler LeBaron.
How is that helping your case?
Yeah, this is helping your case.
That's
you know what the Chrysler LeBaron needs? Landau roofs and opera lights.
LeBaron, I mean, come on, it's a classic name. It really is classic. The LeBaron.
The name is classic, but it's attached to
some really crappy cars.
God.
They'll forget it. People will forget it.
No,
they will.
The LeBaron is represents what was so wrong with Detroit during that time.
It wasn't that bad.
Come on, they were really good cars. The GM passenger sedans from the 1980s being a good case.
But come on, there's nothing redeeming about a LeBaron except for the name, maybe.
It was. I've driven a supercharged V6 Now, the supercharged was aftermarket, yes, but it was decent. It was. I'll say that.
I guess you're saying.
What do you say?
You don't even sound like you're believing it.
Yeah, dude.
Maybe it was. Me, please.
Hey, to me, it's not about the car itself, it's just about the name. Bring back the name. The name was cool for me. It was, the car itself, I couldn't care less about it.
I just bring back the Prowler. Why not?
Now the Prowler, that sounds so Jeffrey Dahmerish. To catch a predator. I'm in a Prowler.
What are you drinking, dude? What are you smoking? The Chrysler Prowler. It's like a Jeffrey Dahmer thing.
I'm sorry.
It's a car for peeping toms. The Plymouth Prowler.
Sounds like an aggressive jungle cat. I don't know what you're.
Yeah, dude. Why don't you just stop? Just park the car and just get out and just stop this, please. It
looked horrible. Oh my God,
man.
It was terrible. Are you kidding me? I'm not saying it looked horrible. For me, that's just me. It made me want to just the Aspire.
Yeah, no, that's a car they should bring back in your book, right? That's a car, right? That Ford Kia thing, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie though, that's the ultimate form of optimism right there. Bro, they are called the Aspire.
What was there was one that was a Suzuki that was called the Insurer or something.
Oh, wasn't that called the Samurai?
No, there was a little compact sedan that was called something like Aspire, but it wasn't Aspire.
Swift?
The Swift.
No, prior Swift.
Prior?
It's not Azure. Everyone's guessing here. Hang on, I'm gonna have to go look at it.
Hang on, I'll be right back.
All right, I'm gonna look up Suzuki names at this rate.
I know. Seriously, it's kind of like the Aspire, but it's almost even more pathetic because it's Suzuki. The Esteem.
Right.
That's what it is. It's the Esteem.
Well, it had no esteeming feature, sadly.
Hey, the Hatsu Charade. Now that was a car. Oh yes.
Oh, nothing redeeming about that either.
Hey, it came. It saw.
And it ran back home.
It had a legacy for cars being so horrible, it's remembered.
Wow.
Speaking of Suzuki, a recent dealership closed down. It's totally empty now. They took off the last of the Kazashis out of the lot. So, yeah. Suzuki's really, oh yeah, they on the verge. They really gonna make it now. But one car I did really like was the Verona. That car looks so nice.
Oh God. Really? Someone actually liked the Verona?
Yes, it looked nice. I mean, seriously, you had a straight 6 engine that was turning the wrong way and underpowered as all hell. But other than that, it was okay.
Oh yeah. Other than major flaws.
I'm trying to remember that there was a Chevy version of that sold in Canada, and I've actually seen that version here in Detroit.
I don't even remember that car.
Well, nobody remembers Suzuki at all, so.
The Chevy Epica or Evander, one or two.
Yeah, it's one of those two.
Yeah. The Daewoo Laganza really puts a smile on my face every time I see it.
Oh God.
Those eyes, it's really happy. It's a really happy car. You know, before there was Mazda, today there was Daewoo. They just made happy cars. I mean, they're horrible but happy. Oh yeah, I forgot about those Metros with the Hayabusa technology. That was brilliant. This guy was really talking about Hayabusa technology, how it would solve all the world's problems.
I think we've already.
We've beaten that horse, buried it. We don't need to drag it back out again.
I think that was like a year ago, and I'm still remembering that conversation. So I'm pretty sure that that's.
You really don't need to bring that conversation up ever again. That was just one of the. That was just as bad as the little Baron argument we just had a few moments ago.
God.
The little. Oh my God! All right. So about that Mustang and that live rear axle. Anyway.
Oh,
I love the Mustang, man. Say what you will.
Stop about the stupid leg. Oh, now
LRA. The 3 worst letters in the auto industry. LRA.
Agreed. Still, what? LRA. Live rear axle. I agree, but I still love the Mustang.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the Mustang itself, but that's my only issue. That's my only issue with it. If the wheels were independent, I'll be all over it. I would love that so much. I mean, the Camaro is just too big. I guess what you get when you base it off the full size.
It's too everything. It's just too everything, in my opinion. It tries to be too stylish. It tries to be too retro and at the same time modern. It's too big. It's the only thing it's not too much of. The only thing it doesn't have too much of is visibility.
You know what? Bring back Zeta. God bless Zeta. So bring back the Holy Trinity. The youth, and the sport.
What are you on about now?
Oh, God. No, we are not bringing that up. We had enough of that when we had Chevy rules on this thing, okay? I do not need to relive those nightmares.
Hey, let me tell you something, man. Zeta will solve all the world's problems, unlike boosted technology. We need rear-wheel drive. Seriously, the fact that the cops get to use it.
Are you going to jump on the Chevy rules bandwagon of, of understeer?
Can we just move on to something else, please?
Somebody else pick a
topic. I'm not
topic.
jumping on the bandwagon. It's my own wagon. I've had that wagon for a long time. I'm doing the Lord's work here, all right? I'm not even that religious, but I'm doing the Lord's work here. Rear-wheel drive. We need rear-wheel drive.
I agree with you. I agree.
GM, the fact that GM really, we all know GM does not want to bring a rear-wheel drive vehicle. In fact, you could tell they were so pissed when America really found out about Holden. It was like unlit. Like, come on, now we got to bring this thing over. Like, idiot. And then now they're trying to make us forget.
They
like,
still build the Corvette.
Pontiac. I mean, the bailouts. I'm talking about like Holden though. I mean, seriously.
Right, but I'm saying rear-wheel drive wise, they still build the Corvette.
Oh, Corvette! Ooh, Camaro! Yay! Trucks! Yay!
Yeah,
come on.
Trucks is where it's at. Who's rear-wheel drive sedans?
What's wrong? What's wrong with the Corvette?
If you're gonna start taking the Josh Lewis argument on this, I'm gonna just hang up.
No, I'm not. I'm
talking about the other guy, not you.
Oh.
Nothing wrong with the Corvette. I just need rear-wheel drive for practicality. And the Corvette is just not very practical.
Wait a minute. Rear-wheel drive you buy it specifically for practicality?
No, but it would help. Like the El Camino, it has practicality. I can
That
go
much
back.
practicality.
I can put I could put caskets in the back.
Oh God, I was waiting for this. I was just counting down to the moments till we got caskets in this.
What is that? What does that have to do with?
That's my job. I work with caskets and stuff. So I put them in the back of trucks and stuff and everything. And I have to haul them and help build stuff. But anyways, yes, I deal with dead people. Okay. All right. Anyways,
real drive is a valuable thing. We need to keep it as much as we can, but it's not like I need it for practicality. It's just because I like the handling elements of a car that's rear-wheel drive.
I'm not saying I need it for practicality. I'm saying that I want a vehicle that's rear-wheel drive with practicality, with it.
Oh.
Such as sedan, I can put in the back, or like the El Camino, I can throw stuff in the back. I mean, the Corvette, yes, it's a sports car, but it is what it is. Is the Corvette really that practical, honestly?
No, it's not
Other
practical.
than a big trunk. It does have a big trunk compared to a sports car, but that's it. Same goes with Camino. I just want rear drive with practicality.
If you want a plastic body, big engine, rear-wheel drive sports car.
Yeah. Yeah, but I can have that with a pickup truck bed.
What?
Yes, I can have all that with a pickup truck bed.
Except for the sports car part.
No, he's more concerned about practicality than sports car handling, apparently.
For his
Well,
dead
I want both.
Yeah, exactly.
I want both.
I thought that's what Hearse is.
Hey, you know what? I want a Hearse, man.
Isn't that what dead people get carried in?
Hearses don't. No, I don't carry the dead people. When they're in there, actually, I do deal with them somewhat. I'm not like an embalmer, in a funeral home, okay? So I do deal with them, but I don't actually have to drive the hearses. I take the caskets before the people get put in it, and then we take them in trucks.
Okay. Fine.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
That makes sense.
Now I don't drive hearses because I wouldn't get a hearse because they don't come in manual.
Oh my God. We need to find something new to talk about. Seriously.
Yeah, please, anything.
Chat room got for us.
Actually, I'm not.
Ford Falcon.
Stop. So, okay, I have something, actually.
Please.
You're welcome.
No.
So this, shut up. So this past month, I had the chance to learn how to drive a stick shift.
Oh, yay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it was an interesting experience, I'll say, in the least.
So what did you learn in?
Probably one of the most unknown vehicles on this earth. It's a 1991 Isuzu stylish sedan, and I'll actually try and find a picture of it. But yeah,
I've heard of those actually.
Yeah, but that's the car I drove in for the 20 minutes I had to learn. It was an interesting experience, I will say. Because I've always been fearing driving a stick shift because it's like, what if I do this? What if I do that? But in the back of my head, it's like, you should learn how to do this just in case of emergencies and stuff. And also, if you're going down this road that you are planning on, you should learn how to drive a stick shift. So when my friend called me up and says, "Hey, do you want to learn?" It's like, why not?
Yeah, I mean, you should go learn. Yeah, because now once you learn, you can actually go buy a proper car. I'm just kidding.
Shut up.
Anyway, all right, but yeah, you really should learn. I mean, I didn't want to learn how to drive stick. I did not want to. My dad said, if you want to drive, you have to learn how to drive stick. I'm like, really? You're an a-hole. I'm like, okay. He's like, all right. I had to learn on a Peugeot 505.
That's not bad.
Yeah. It's French, so it does what French cars do. But anyway.
Right down?
Yeah. Wave the white flag. Pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, after three gear changes, the radiator started to have smoke coming out of billowing out of it. Yeah.
So yeah, it was. I will say it was worrying at first because it's like you have in my head. It's like, okay, I gotta somehow pull my foot up slowly on the clutch, but at a certain point, I have to put my foot down on the accelerator and somehow control it in a way that I don't stall the car. So it's like,
It's a tricky balance to get the hang of.
Right, and that's what I've been learning about. So, I mean,
why do you think that the manual transmissions are declining? People don't feel like putting in that much work.
Right, I know, and it's like I mean, but now I kind of know what they're like and stuff. I'm like more comfortable with it. So.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm gonna sign off, guys, because I got duty in the morning, so I gotta get up early.
All right. See ya.
Here, I was ready to.
So,
Head to work.
I
Yeah,
gotta head
same
out.
here.
I'll catch you guys next month then, I guess.
All right. Thank you, Christian.
Christian.
Yeah.
I'm heading out.
I got a meeting tomorrow morning. So thank you, CM Inside News and Ford Inside News. And you guys are more than welcome to keep talking. The phone lines will stay open. And Chelsea's gone to bed. She has something in the morning as well. So we're done for the night. You guys just keep talking cars. That's fine with us.
Yep. Have a good night, guys, and see you next month.
Yep. See you then.
Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast.
Good point.
Bit.ly / Open Podcast.
Excellent.
That's what Ben said.
Good stuff. Thank you, Ben.
Good night.
Night, everybody.